Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Let's see. Mic on, mic's working. Where is...
Sorry.
Late again? You're fine. Yep, everything is... All right. Let's have a good show, people. Is everybody ready? All right. Quiet, please, because we're starting in 3, 2, 1. 427 SPR. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and to our little ones in the listening audience. And welcome to our annual presentation of Charles Dickens' beloved holiday classic, A Christmas Carol. 427 SPR. Take a journey with us back in time. It's Christmas Eve in London, England, in the year 1843.
But rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. Remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day.
Of all the good days of the year, on this Christmas Eve, the most squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous, meanest, most cold-hearted man in London, Ebenezer Scrooge, sat busy in his counting house, counting his money. The door of Scrooge's counting house was open so that he could keep his eye on his clerk, Bob Cratchit, who sat in a cold and dismal little room just beyond, working on his ledgers.
19, 20, 21. Let nothing you dismay. Carry the 6. Christmas Day.
Cratchit!
Yes, Mr. Scrooge?
Let me hear another sound out of you, and you'll keep your Christmas by losing your situation.
Yes, sir, Mr. Scrooge. Very sorry, sir. I was caught up in the Christmas spirit, I suppose.
Christmas? Bah, humbug!
I'm sure you didn't mean that, Mr. Scrooge.
I mean exactly that. If I could have it my way, every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips will be boiled with his own pudding and buried with a stick of holly through his heart.
But Mr. Scrooge...
Back to your ledger, Cratchit!
Afternoon gave way to evening, the fog and darkness thickened, and the time came for Scrooge to close up the counting house.
Well, Cratchit, you want the entire day off tomorrow for Christmas, I suppose?
It is only once a year, sir.
Once a year, indeed. A poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December. Just make sure you're here all the earlier the next day.
Yes, sir, Mr. Scrooge. Thank you, sir. And a Merry Christmas to you.
Christmas. Bah, humbug!
And Bob Cratchit was into his coat, on with his scarf, and out the door as quick as a flash.
Merry Christmas!
Humbug!
Scrooge closed up the counting house and took his usual melancholy dinner in his usual melancholy tavern, then made his way home to his dismal melancholy lodgings, dreary rooms that had once belonged to his partner, Jacob Marley, who died 7 years ago this very night. Once he was home, Scrooge locked himself in, walked up the stairs to his bedroom, and soon changed into his nightgown and nightcap.
Door bolted shut and locked. All quiet.
Scrooge sat down in front of the meager fire in his fireplace to brood and take his bowl of gruel.
Christmas. Bah! Humbug!
Ebenezer Scrooge.
What's that?
Closer it came.
Ebenezer Scrooge.
Who's there?
And closer still.
Ebenezer Scrooge.
Who's there, I say?
And there it was, standing directly in front of him, a ghostly white apparition wrapped all around in chains, and it was staring at Scrooge with death-cold eyes.
Who are you?
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley.
Jacob Marley? Is that really you? Why, it's been 7 years since we last spoke. How have you been?
Oh!
Oh! Have mercy, Jacob, please. Why have you come to me?
I have come here to tell you that you have yet a chance and hope of escaping my fate.
You were always a good friend to me, Jacob.
Hear me, Ebenezer. Tonight you will be visited by 3 spirits.
3 spirits? Tonight? Oh, I think I'd rather not, Jacob.
Without their visits, you cannot hope to escape my fate. Expect the first when the bell tolls 1, then the second, then the last.
But, Jacob...
Farewell, Ebenezer, farewell. Remember me. Remember me.
And Marley was gone. Unsettled as he was by his strange encounter with Marley's ghost, and much in need of rest, Scrooge went straight to bed and fell into a fitful sleep.
Ebenezer Scrooge. Ebenezer Scrooge.
Scrooge opened his eyes and was surprised to find himself face to face with a strange, unearthly visitor.
Heavens! What's this?
Good evening, Ebenezer.
It wore a tunic of the purest white. It held a branch of fresh green holly in its hand, and a bright, clear ray of light shined brightly from the crown of its head that illuminated everything around it.
Are you the spirit who's foretold to me?
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Christmas long past?
Your past, Ebenezer. Come with me.
The spirit took Scrooge by the arm, and in an instant Scrooge found himself being carried by the spirit above the city, then walking through the busy thoroughfares with carts and coaches passing by. Soon it was evening in an older part of town. Scrooge stopped and pointed down the way.
There, spirit! Look there! It's the warehouse where he's apprenticed to old Fezziwig. Look, and there's old Fezziwig himself! Hello, Mr. Fezziwig!
These are but shadows of the past, Ebenezer. They cannot see or hear us.
Old Fezziwig stood up from behind his high desk, rubbed his hands together, laughed all over himself, and called out in his fat, jovial voice.
Ho there, Ebenezer. No more work tonight. It's Christmas Eve. Clear away, my lad, and let's have some room here.
And young Ebenezer replied, Right away, Mr. Fezziwig.
Deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la.
And in came Mrs. Fezziwig.
Merry Christmas, Mr. Fezziwig.
Merry Christmas, Mrs. Fezziwig.
And all the young men and women employed in the business, and the 3 Miss Fezziwigs trailing their lovelorn admirers.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
And there was music and dancing long into the night.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
And Scrooge was just starting to enjoy himself when the spirit whisked him away into the open air outside the city.
Lord, how the roses blooming from tender stem has sprung.
Scrooge saw a beautiful young lady sitting under a tree with a much younger Ebenezer Scrooge.
Why, it's my dear Belle, my one true love.
Ebenezer, our engagement to each other was made when we were both poor and content to be so. But now you only love money. You have no room in your heart for me. I release you from your promise to marry me. Goodbye, Ebenezer. May you be happy in the life you've chosen.
Belle? Belle! Oh, spirit, take me away.
The ghost's light suddenly burned so bright that Scrooge had to hide his face in his hands.
Ebenezer Scrooge!
Scrooge uncovered his eyes.
Ah!
And there, in the center of the room, high on a stately throne, sat a giant of a man, clothed in a simple green robe, bordered all around with white fur. On his head was a huge wreath of holly decorated with shining icicles, and in his hand a glowing torch.
Good evening, Ebenezer.
But who are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas present. Here, Ebenezer. Touch my robe.
Scrooge did as he was told, and off they went across the city. And then there they were, standing right in front of the Cratchits' humble home. Through the frost-edged window, they could see Mrs. Cratchit and all the little Cratchits running to and fro, preparing Christmas dinner.
Bless your hearts, my dears. Oh, and here's your father, and Tiny Tim.
In came Bob Cratchit, carrying Tiny Tim with his little crutch.
Merry Christmas, my dears.
Merry Christmas, Father. Come, children, come take your places at the table. Sit down, everyone.
Merry Christmas to us all, and God bless us.
God bless us, everyone.
God bless us, everyone.
Spirit, tell me if Tiny Tim will live.
I see an empty seat at the table, and a crutch without an owner.
No, Spirit.
If these shadows remain unchanged by the future, the child will die.
And with that, the ghost of Christmas present was gone. Scrooge found himself alone in a desolate part of town, but Scrooge wasn't alone for long. Scrooge looked into the darkness, and he saw, coming towards him, slowly, gravely, and silently, like a mist upon the ground, was a solemn phantom, tall, stately, and mysterious, shrouded in a deep black robe, which concealed its head, its face, and its form, and left nothing of it visible except one pale, thin, outstretched hand.
Am I in the presence of the ghost of Christmas yet to come? Are you going to show me the shadows of the things that have not yet happened, but will happen in the time before us?
The spirit did not answer, but led Scrooge to a desolate part of the city.
They were in a dark, dirty shop, nearly hidden by heaps of old rags, bottles, and all manner of unknown refuse. An old charwoman slunk into the shop, carrying a heavy bundle which she threw down on the ground in front of Old Joe, the rag and bone man. The old man quickly opened the bundle and poked through the items, which looked to Scrooge to be remarkably similar to his own bedclothes.
What do you give me for these, Old Joe?
What's these, then? Is bed curtains. You don't mean you took them with them still lying there?
And why not?
And it's blankets, too.
He's not going to need 'em where he's going.
The spirit lifted Scrooge back to the city, to Bob Cratchit's house. Mrs. Cratchit and the children were sitting together near the fireplace.
Lay a little tiny child by thy lulay. Oh, sisters, too, how may we do for to preserve this day?
It must be near time for your father, my dears. He's walked a little slower these past few evenings. I've known him to walk with dear Tiny Tim upon his shoulder, very fast indeed, and he loved Tiny Tim so that it was no trouble at all. Poor little Tiny Tim.
Bob Cratchit walked quietly into the room and sat down in the midst of his family and drew them close around him.
You went to his grave today, Bob?
I wish all of you could have gone, but you'll see it often. I promised Tim we would all walk there every Sunday.
And we will, Bob, every Sunday.
Let us all not forget poor little Tiny Tim and how strong he was and brave, though he was just a little child. I'm sure that when we are all apart from each other, we shall not forget poor little Tiny Tim, shall we?
Dread Spirit, please, take me away from here.
The spirit led Scrooge to yet another part of the city, more desolate and deserted than he had ever been before. The spirit stopped at an iron gate and motioned for Scrooge to go through, and the spirit followed.
What is this place, Spirit? A churchyard? Why do you bring me here?
The spirit stood among the many overgrown and neglected graves. It pointed to one grave in particular, untended for many a year, grown round with weeds, covered with snow.
Before I draw nearer to the grave to which you point, answer me one question, Spirit. Are these the shadows of the things that will be, or are they the shadows of the things that may be, if I don't change my ways?
The spirit did not answer, but pointed again to the grave by which it stood. Scrooge reluctantly crept towards the grave, trembling as he went. He brushed away the snow from the neglected grave and raised his head to read the name on the headstone. Ebenezer Scrooge.
No!
Scrooge fell to the frozen ground at the spirit's feet.
Please, Spirit, assure me that it yet may change these shadows you have shown me. I'm not the man I was. I will not be the man I would have been. I will honor Christmas in my heart and keep it all the year.
Scrooge clutched desperately at the spirit's robes.
Please, Spirit, no!
Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King.
It was morning now, and Scrooge found himself alone in his own bedroom, clutching desperately at his own bed curtains. Scrooge raised his head and looked around him.
The bed curtains. They're still here. They're not torn down. And I'm still here.
Scrooge started dancing around his bedroom like he was at old Fezziwig's party.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I'm as light as a feather, as merry as a schoolboy.
Scrooge threw open the window and looked out into the street.
Hello there.
Yes, sir.
What's today, my fine young fellow?
Why, it's Christmas Day, of course.
Christmas Day, of course it is, of course it is. I haven't missed it. The spirits did it all in one night. Young man, do you know the poultry shop on the next street on the corner?
Well, I should hope I do.
An intelligent boy. Do you know whether they've sold the prize turkey that was hanging down in the window there?
Why, it's hanging there now.
Is it indeed? Then go and buy it, my lad, and have it delivered to the Cratchits in Camden Town. Here's the money for the turkey, and a little extra for yourself.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Off with you then, ha-ha! The Cratchits will never know who sent it. Why, it's twice as big as Tiny Tim.
Scrooge dressed himself in all his best, and even though his shirt was inside out and his collar was upside down, he hurried out into the streets.
No fog, no mist. A clear, bright, brisk morning. What a glorious, glorious Christmas Day.
Scrooge walked about the streets all afternoon, engaging total strangers in conversation, patting children on the head, and astonishing people who knew him with his changed appearance, joyful attitude, and generosity of spirit.
Hello there.
Hello, sir?
Good to see you. What a wonderful day.
It is.
And a Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you too, sir.
Scrooge returned home that evening very tired but very happy. That night, Scrooge had the most pleasant sleep and the most pleasant dreams he's had in all his years.
Thank you, Spirit, for a very Merry Christmas indeed.
And the next morning, Scrooge was at the counting house even earlier than usual, hoping to catch Bob Cratchit coming in late. The clock struck 9, no Bob Cratchit. 1:15, still no Bob Cratchit.
Ha-ha, there he is now.
Bob Cratchit hurried in, but before he could sit down...
Cratchit!
Yes, Mr. Scrooge?
You're late. What do you mean by coming in at this time of day?
I'm very sorry, sir. I was just...
Well, I'm not going to stand for this any longer. And therefore, Bob Cratchit, I am going to raise your salary.
Mr. Scrooge, I don't know what to say.
You don't need to say anything, my good fellow. I will raise your salary, Bob Cratchit, and we will see what we can do for Tiny Tim and the rest of your wonderful family, shall we?
Yes, sir, Mr. Scrooge. Thank you, sir. And a Merry Christmas to you.
A Merry Christmas, Bob. A Merry Christmas than I've given you for many, many years.
Scrooge was better than his word. He did everything he said he would, and infinitely more. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was like a second father, and it was always said of Ebenezer Scrooge that he knew how to keep Christmas well.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
(427) SPR. You have been listening to our annual presentation of Charles Dickens' beloved holiday classic, A Christmas Carol. Thank you for listening, and from all of us to all of you, a very Merry Christmas. And as Tiny Tim would say, God bless us, everyone.
We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your King, good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year.